If you ever find yourself at Club Vanna in downtown Chicago, leave. I don't care if it's your birthday, your bachelor party, or if you've got VIP passes from the mayor himself. That club isn't just dangerous, it's wrong. I used to work there as a bartender. It paid well, the tips were outrageous, and the crowd was always buzzing. But the job came with rules, bizarre ones. Rules that no one explained, only enforced. And the first time I broke one, I saw something I can never unsee. I wasn't even looking for a bartending gig when Club Vanna found me. It was 3 a.m., and I was working at a dive down in Wicker Park, wiping beer sticky counters and wishing someone would just put me out of my misery. That's when this guy walked in, tall, slick suit, blood red tie, skin pale as printer paper. He didn't order a drink. He just sat, watched me for about 10 minutes, then handed me a black card with silver lettering. Club Vanta. You're invited. 10 p.m. tomorrow. Dress sharp. I should have tossed the card and forgotten it. But I didn't. The next night, curiosity got the better of me. Club Vanta didn't have a sign outside. Just a narrow black door between an abandoned bookstore and a boarded-up vape shop. I knocked once. A slit opened. A pair of glowing red eyes peered out. Then the door creaked open. Inside, the place was surreal. Music thumped through the walls, but not like normal club beats. It felt like it crawled into your brain and pulsed in sync with your heartbeat. Everything was black, walls, ceiling, floor, but shimmered with iridescent glints like beetle shells. The bar counter was obsidian, with no visible seams or grain. It looked alive. A woman in a velvet suit approached me. Her voice was smooth like silk soaked in poison. "You're the new bartender," she said, not asked. Before I could reply, she handed me a laminated sheet titled, "Rules for Club Vanta Bartenders." 1. Do not make eye contact with patrons who arrive between 2:33 a.m. and 2:44 a.m. 2. Never serve a drink to someone who requests it in a dead language. 3. If you hear crying from behind the stockroom door, ignore it. Do not open it. 4. Keep one drink covered in sea salt behind the bar. Do not let anyone drink it. 5. At 3 a.m. sharp, pour a shot of absinthe and leave it on the furthest corner of the bar. Someone will take it. Do not look at them. 6. When closing up, count the chairs. If there's one extra, leave immediately. 7. Never, under any circumstance, ask what's upstairs. Then she smiled. Welcome to the team. The first night was smooth, strangely smooth. The patrons were odd, sure. Some wore masks, others never blinked, and a few didn't seem to breathe. But I figured it was just the Chicago nightlife. The drinks were easy, the tips flowed, and everyone acted polite. A little too polite. There were no fights, no broken glasses, no drunken shouting. Just a constant, low-level thrum of tension, like the room held its breath. I remembered every rule. Didn't break a single one. But by the third night, I got cocky. It was just after 2:30 a.m. when a man walked in, tall, skeletal frame, skin stretched too tight across his face. His eyes were completely black, not just the pupils, the whole damn eyeball. He slid onto a stool and locked eyes with me. I froze. Rule 1 screamed in my head. Don't make eye contact between 2:33 and 2:44. I glanced at the clock. 2:35 a.m. Shit, but it was too late. His eyes were already on mine. Drink, he rasped, voice like wind through a tomb. I stammered something and turned my back, pretending to polish glasses. When I turned around, he was gone. Not walking away, not fading into the crowd. Gone. The stool was still spinning slightly. I asked the bouncer, Carl, if he'd seen the guy leave. He just stared at me. What guy? I thought maybe I was just tired, but then something even worse happened. The stockroom door began to rattle. It started softly, like a cat pawing at it, then more aggressive, like fists slamming rhythmically. And then the crying started. A child sob, high-pitched, panic muffled. I stood rooted to the floor, heart thudding in my throat. Carl's voice behind me, "Don't. Open it." I didn't, but I got close. And I swear to God, I heard my little sister's voice on the other side. She died 5 years ago in a fire. "Tyler," the voice whimpered. "It's hot. Help me." I staggered back. I hadn't told anyone about her. No one at the club knew my name. No one should have known her voice. I barely got through the rest of the shift. That night, I didn't sleep. I kept going over everything. The rules, the man with the black eyes, the crying. But despite everything, I went back the next night. Why? Because the pay was still good. Because I needed to know what the hell was happening. Because some part of me was pulled back there, like something in the dark was whispering for me to come home. This time, I followed every rule perfectly. No mistakes, except for the sea salt drink. Rule number 4, keep one drink covered in sea salt behind the bar. Do not let anyone drink it. It was a ridiculous rule. What was it even for? So, when a girl with platinum white hair and eyes that sparkled like frost pointed to the salted drink and asked, "Can I have that one?" I hesitated. Then I said, "Sure." I handed it to her. She smiled, a little too wide, and took a sip. The moment the drink touched her lips, every light in the club went out. Silence swallowed us whole. Then screams, blood-curdling, feral screams erupted from every direction. The emergency lights flickered on, casting the entire club in a deep red hue. The girl? Gone. Her glass shattered into salt on the floor. And the things that poured into the room from nowhere, they weren't human. Tall, jointed wrong, eyes like open mouths, hands tipped with claws made of bone. They tore through the crowd, but not randomly. They were searching. I ducked behind the bar, heart in my throat. Carl grabbed me by the collar and yanked me into the staff hallway. "You gave her the salt drink," he hissed, eyes wild. I didn't know. She's a salt breaker, idiot. She's not supposed to cross over unless we let her. That drink was a ward. My blood went cold. She looked normal. I whispered. Carl just laughed bitterly. Nothing in this club is normal. The aftermath was quiet. Too quiet. No sirens. No ambulances. Just silence. By the next night, the club was open again. Same crowd. Same music. As if nothing had happened. I almost quit. I had my jacket in hand when the woman in the velvet suit appeared again. "Leaving so soon?" she asked, voice like velvet on broken glass. "I'll let something in," I said. "I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not trained for this." She smirked. "You think any of us are trained? You think I wanted to be here?" She handed me a new rule sheet. This one had blood smudges on it. A new rule had been added. Rule number 8. If you serve the salted drink by mistake, don't sleep the following night. If you do, it will crawl into your dreams and feed until you're nothing but a hollow echo. I haven't slept in 38 hours, and I think it's already too late. Every time I close my eyes, I see her, frost-white hair, lips smeared with salt, mouth stretching wide, wider, too wide. Something's coming for me, but I'll be back tonight. I have to be, because if I'm not behind that bar by 10 p.m., they'll come looking for me instead. They told me not to sleep, not after serving the salted drink. I tried staying awake. I drank coffee until my stomach burned, chewed caffeine pills like candy, and even duct taped my eyelids once. But the body can only fight nature so long. I blacked out for what felt like seconds. When I woke up, I was underwater, drenched, gasping, and something with freezing hands had been holding my face down in the sink. I don't know if I dreamed it, or if something followed me back from the club. I didn't want to return to Club Vanna that night, but the fear of staying home was worse. If the rules were real, and I knew now that they were, then breaking even one of them had real consequences. What haunted me wasn't guilt. It was the voice I kept hearing behind every noise, the whisper from behind the mirror, the soft dragging sound outside my apartment door. At 9:45 p.m., I was back at the black, unmarked door. No line, no bouncer, just a slit in the door sliding open. The same red eyes glaring out. They didn't speak. The door creaked open for me, and as I stepped in, I could already tell something had changed. Inside, Club Vanna felt wrong. It wasn't the music, it was still that rhythmic, pulsating drone that wormed into your mind. It wasn't the crowd, though they were quieter now, staring at me just a little too long. It was the mirror behind the bar. It hadn't been there before. An enormous, ornate thing, taller than me, with a black and silver frame carved in tangled vines. I don't know how I hadn't noticed it before, but tonight, it felt like it had always been there. Carl appeared beside me, grim-faced as ever. New rule, he grunted, handing me a sticky note folded in half. Rule number 9, don't look into the mirror after 2 a.m. I laughed, trying to shake the dread tightening in my chest. Seriously? That's it. Just don't look. Carl didn't laugh. It doesn't show your reflection after 2. It shows something else. I asked what he meant, but he was already walking away. The night dragged on slowly. The platinum-haired girl didn't return, but others like her did. Too pale skin, eyes like frost. They'd watch me, but never speak. I kept the new sea-salted drink well hidden and guarded it like it was nuclear waste. And as 2 a.m. crept closer, the mirror's presence became more unbearable. At 1:58 a.m., I glanced at it. Just a peek. My reflection stared back, exhausted, pale, sunken-eyed. But when the clock ticked 2 o'clock, I made sure to turn my back. I focused on washing glasses, mixing drinks, anything to avoid the temptation. But then, a voice behind me. Soft, familiar. Tyler. I froze. That voice. It was my mom's. She died 2 years ago. Don't you want to see me? She whispered. No one else reacted. No one else even looked her way. Slowly, I turned my head just enough to catch the mirror in my peripheral vision. My heart nearly stopped. She was there. Her. My mother. In the mirror. Wearing the same lavender dress she was buried in. Hair falling in soft waves over her shoulders. Smiling. But I wasn't in the reflection. Only her. Behind her, something large shifted, like a shadow behind curtains. Her smile twitched. Her lips moved again. Come here. I didn't. I dropped the glass in my hand and backed away, bumping into Carl. You looked, didn't you? He growled. I didn't mean to. You heard her, he said. She always starts with someone familiar. He dragged me into the back room, the one just past the rattling stockroom door. Inside, the air was cold. Not cool cold, like walking into a freezer filled with the dead. Carl lit a candle. Only one. The flame barely held. Let me tell you something, he said. None of this started with rules. It started with mistakes. He pointed to the mirror, even though we weren't near it anymore. 10 years ago, someone built that mirror upstairs. It was supposed to be for aesthetics, part of some weird VIP room. But that thing, it's not a mirror. It's a portal, and it reflects what the club wants you to see. What does the club want? I asked. Carl's face turned to stone. Blood. Back at the bar, the crowd had changed. Everyone was wearing masks now. Full face, blank white masks, smooth and featureless. They didn't speak, didn't order drinks. They just stood, watching. The music had stopped. Somewhere, a bass rumbled softly, like distant thunder, but the thumping beat was gone. Then the lights dimmed until only the mirror glowed faintly behind me. Something moved in the mirror. I closed my eyes. Don't look, I whispered to myself. Then the whispers started. A chorus of voices. Not in English. Not in any language I knew. One voice said something close to not Tyler. Just the beginning. Like it was still trying to form my name. Suddenly, I wasn't behind a bar anymore. I was inside the mirror. Or maybe dreaming. I stood on a cold, stone floor. Everything was dim, like twilight with no sky. Giant stone columns rose up into the blackness. Hanging from above were bodies. Hundreds of them, all wearing Vanna uniforms. Some were twitching. One turned toward me and hissed, "You broke the rules." I tried to scream, but I had no mouth. I looked down at my hands. They were made of glass. Cracks spiderwebbed through them. Then I saw my reflection on the ground below me. Not myself, but the frost-haired girl, smiling. Her mouth opened far too wide, and she whispered, "You're part of it now." I woke up on the floor behind the bar. Carl was over me, slapping my face. "What the hell did you do?" he snapped. The club was empty. No music, no patrons, no light, just us. The mirror was cracked down the middle. From behind the crack, black fluid seeped. "Tell me what you saw," Carl demanded. I tried to explain. The whispers, the glass hands, the bodies, the frost-haired girl. He didn't flinch. "The mirror took you. That's not supposed to happen until at least your 10th shift." I blinked. "This is only my 5th. Carl swore under his breath. He fished in his pocket and handed me a scrap of paper. A new rule. Rule number 10. If the mirror takes you early, burn something you love before dawn. I asked him what that meant. He only said, "You have about 4 hours. If you want to stay human, do it." I went home with trembling hands and the weight of something ancient gnawing at my brain. I dumped my backpack on the floor, turned on every light in the apartment, and stared at the one thing that meant something to me. A Polaroid photo of me and my sister, taken the summer before she died. She had braces. I had a crooked smile. We were sitting in front of our old rust bucket of a car with popsicles melting in our hands. It was the only photo I had left. I held it over the stove flame, watched the edges curl, watched our faces blacken. Then I heard the mirror in my bathroom shatter, and from inside it, a voice screamed my name. I followed every rule now. Burn what I loved. Didn't sleep after the salted drink. Didn't look in the mirror at 2 a.m. But something still wants me, and I think it's done playing by the rules. At 3:06 a.m. last night, I got a call. The voice on the other end was whispering, crying, pleading. I didn't recognize the number, but the voice knew everything about me. My favorite drink, the number of times I'd broken curfew as a kid, and the exact words I said at my sister's funeral. It begged me to come back to the club early alone. I didn't listen. I should have, because when I walked into Club Vanna tonight, every face turned to me, and they were all wearing my sister's smile. I didn't sleep after I burned the photo. I just sat there, staring at the broken mirror in my bathroom, watching the shadows move inside it like writhing snakes. It was quiet, too quiet. until my phone rang. No ringtone, just static at first. Then, through the hiss, a whisper. "You made the wrong sacrifice, Tyler." I dropped the phone. It cracked open, screen spidering into 100 shards. I tried to breathe. I tried to convince myself I'd done what the rules said, burned something I loved. But maybe it wasn't about the object. Maybe it was about the pain. By the time I got to Club Vanna the next night, I was already on edge. My hands were shaking so bad I could barely unlock the black door. Inside, something fell off. The lighting was dimmer, and the club pulsed with an unnatural rhythm, almost like a heartbeat, irregular and slow. The mirror was gone. In its place behind the bar was a dark velvet curtain, swaying lightly even though there was no breeze. Carl wasn't there. Instead, an unfamiliar bartender stood in his place. Short, balding, with gray eyes and cracked knuckles. His name tag said Avery. He didn't look at me, just handed me a slip of paper from under the bar. Rule number 11. If someone calls your name from the other side of the curtain, do not respond. I tried to ask where Carl was, but Avery just grunted and turned away. The night crawled. The crowd tonight was louder than usual, almost frenzied. Some of them danced in jerking, unnatural motions, like marionettes on tangled strings. A man in a purple velvet suit kept ordering drinks without touching them. He just sat there, watching me, lips stretched into an impossibly wide smile. Every so often, I glanced at the curtain. It moved constantly, as though something behind it was pacing. At 1:47 a.m., I heard the first whisper. Faint, breathless. "Tyler, please help me." It was my sister's voice again. I gripped the bar hard. Avery snapped his fingers in front of my face. "Don't engage. It wants you to." "But how?" "I've been here longer than Carl," he said softly. "I've seen people lose everything behind that curtain." "What is it?" I asked. He stared ahead. "It's what's left of the ones who broke the rules. It mimics. It remembers. It calls." At exactly 2 a.m., the curtain twitched violently. A single pale hand emerged beneath it. Long, bony fingers scraping the floor. The crowd didn't seem to notice. Some were laughing, some dancing, others just twitching in the shadows. But none of them looked at the curtain. Only me. Then the voice came again, stronger now. "Tyler, come home." That's when the lights went out. Total blackout. I froze, unable to move. I could hear breathing, deep, wet, ragged. Not human. Something brushed past my leg. Cold. Slick. I stumbled backward, knocking over a bottle. When the emergency lights kicked in, the curtain was gone. Behind the bar was no wall. Just open blackness stretching forever. Like the club had been carved open. And from that darkness, something began to crawl out. A woman-shaped thing. But it wasn't my sister. Its limbs were too long, bones popping as it moved. Its face rippled, changing features like a shuffled deck. Sometimes it looked like my mom. Then Carl. Then me. And then it smiled. A sound like cracking porcelain echoed from its mouth. Then it spoke. "I'm what they leave behind." I ran. I didn't wait to see what Avery would do. I sprinted past the crowd, who were now standing in perfect stillness, facing me in rows. Every single one had my face. Mouths sewn shut with silver thread. Eyes blank. I shoved through them and reached the back hallway. But the hallway had changed. The rattling stockroom door was now covered in frost. I tried the office locked. Then I saw it. The same small door Carl had once warned me never to enter. It was open now. A black void waited inside, pulsing gently. I had no choice. I stepped through. I was somewhere beneath. The basement of Club Vanta, or maybe far below that. The air was thick with dust and the scent of rot. Old furniture, broken mannequins, walls covered in tally marks, each one etched in with a bloody fingernail. In the corner, something twitched. I thought it was a dying animal until it lifted its head. It was Carl. His eyes were burned black, his mouth sewn shut like the others. I ran to him, tried to undo the threads, but his hand shot out and gripped my wrists. He shook his head violently, then pressed something into my hand. A matchbook. Club Vanta. Light only in desperation. Then he pushed me away. I stumbled back and looked up because I could feel the thing descending the stairs behind me. It wasn't fast. It didn't need to be. It knew I was trapped. I fumbled the matchbook open. One match left. I struck it. The flame lit up the walls, and I saw what Carl meant. The tally marks weren't random. They were names and dates. Dozens of names I didn't recognize. Then, Tyler J. Incomplete. The creature reached the bottom stair. It had my sister's face now. It opened its mouth, and I could see the reflection of the mirror inside it. Thousands of eyes stared back. I screamed, threw the match. The flame hit a puddle of liquor I hadn't noticed before, maybe intentionally poured. It ignited fast, too fast. The walls burst into flame, and the creature hissed, staggering back, its face melting like wax. I turned to run, but the fire was already spreading. Then I felt Carl's hand push me again, this time through a wooden trapdoor I hadn't noticed. I fell hard and blacked out. I woke up in my own bed. Door locked. Lights on. Phone on the nightstand. No cracks. It was 7 a.m. I tried to call Club Vanta. No answer. Tried searching it online. No results. I walked back to the alley. The black door was gone. In its place, a brick wall, smooth and freshly sealed. But last night wasn't a dream. I still have the burned matchbook in my jacket. I still have a scar on my hand where the thing scratched me. And I still hear it, sometimes, call my name, from behind mirrors, from inside my phone, from the places I thought were safe. Because here's the real secret. Club Vanta doesn't exist on any map. It exists between places, between rules. And once you're part of it, you never really leave. I was finally out. The door was sealed. The club erased from every map, from every memory, except mine. But 2 nights later, a package arrived on my doorstep. No return address, just a note inside that read, "You missed one rule." Beneath the note was a black and white photo of Club Vanta's dance floor. It was dated from the 1960s. But there, frozen mid-step, was me. Same face, same uniform, same terrified expression. That night, I heard the music again, and someone knocked from inside my mirror. It was over. I'd survived Club Vanta, whatever that meant. The door was gone, the alley sealed. No mention of the place online. No trace of Carl, Avery, or the pale patrons with glassy eyes. But I didn't feel relief. I felt watched. The world around me changed. Slightly wrong. Sounds too loud. Colors muted. People on the street flinched when I passed. And no matter how much I tried to tell myself I was safe, I kept waking up at 2 a.m. sharp, drenched in sweat. The mirror in my room fogged over from the inside. Then came the package. Plain, black box. Heavy. No postage. Just sitting outside my apartment door. Inside, a photo, yellowed with age. The Club Vanta dance floor, filled with sharp-suited men and women in glittering dresses. And there I was, off-center, holding a tray, looking directly at the camera, terrified. scrawled across the back. Rule number 12. Never talk to the man in the booth. I'd never seen a booth. I tried to ignore it. Didn't work. That night, the music returned, not from the street or a neighbor's apartment, but from inside my walls. Low, thudding bass. The exact same beat that pumped through Club Vanda. When I turned off every light and stood still, I could almost feel the vibration in the floorboards, like I was standing above the club again. That's when the mirror whispered. At first, just nonsense sounds, distorted, like a tape played backward. Then words. Back. You're not done. Not yet. I covered the mirror. Didn't matter. By the next morning, it had cracked, down the middle, just like the one in Vanna. I spent the day trying to piece together what I knew. 11 rules. One club that changed shape. People that weren't really people. And a mirror that pulled you into something other. But the 12th rule, that one chilled me the most. I'd never seen the booth. Not once. I asked myself, what booth? Until it hit me. There had been a darkened corner of Club Vanna's second floor, roped off with velvet cord. I assumed it was storage. But what if it wasn't? What if it was something no one was meant to see? At 10 p.m., I returned to the alley. Still bricked up, but this time I brought a hammer. Each swing echoed through the night like gunfire, and the bricks weren't real. They cracked too easily, as if they were just there for show. After 8 swings, the wall collapsed inward, and behind it, the door. Black, unmarked, waiting. A chill ran through my spine. My hands trembled, but something deeper inside me knew I had no choice. The club had called me back, and I'd answered. When I stepped through, everything was different. The inside of Club Vanna was silent. No music, no lights, just rows and rows of tables, all covered in black tablecloths and surrounded by mannequins dressed like patrons, faces smooth, featureless. I passed them slowly, each one frozen in the act of drinking, laughing, whispering. Their poses looked wrong. One had its head tilted back far too far, like its neck was broken. Another had its arms twisted unnaturally behind its back. As I moved, I could swear their heads turned slightly. Watching, following. I made it to the staircase and climbed. The second floor was smaller, balcony style. The velvet cord was still there, draped across the entrance to the dark booth in the far corner. Something moved inside it. I approached. The air grew heavier, colder. The floorboards creaked underfoot as though resisting my steps. And then I saw him, a man sitting alone in the booth, perfectly still, dressed in a dark gray 3-piece suit, face half shrouded in shadows. He had no drink in front of him, no glass, no bottle, just a small rotary phone on the table and a closed leather book. He didn't look at me, didn't blink. I should have left, should have turned back. But I spoke. Are you the one calling me? The man raised his hand slowly and tapped the phone once. Then he lifted his face fully into the light. It was mine, my exact face, but older, gaunt, drained, eyes completely black. And when he smiled, I saw rows of teeth like broken glass. He didn't speak. He just pushed the leather book toward me. It thudded when it hit the table. I stared at the title, embossed in deep red. Rule Keeper. Beneath it, carved in scratchy script. Once you've read them all, they become yours. I backed away. I don't want this, I whispered. He tilted his head. But you've already begun. Behind me, the mannequins had moved. They were lining the stairs now, blocking my exit. And all around, whispers rose, familiar voices. Carl, Avery, my mother, my sister, even me. The man in the booth stood. I hadn't noticed how tall he was. Too tall. He reached across the table and placed the book into my hands. It burned. I dropped it, but it stuck to my palms. Fused, branding into my skin. The club shuddered. The phone on the table began to ring. Loud, unending. I screamed, and the mannequins screamed back. Mouths open now, all of them wearing my face. I must have blacked out again. I woke up on my living room floor. The leather book on my chest. Its pages were blank now, except for the first one. A new title, Rules, Volume 2, written by Tyler J. And underneath, scratched in ink so dark it looked like blood. Rule number 13, you must never write new rules. Not unless you're ready to replace the old keeper. The mirror in my hallway was gone. In its place, a velvet curtain, and behind it, someone is tapping the glass. I tried burning the book. It won't burn. Tried tearing it up. The pages cut my fingers open. I went back to the alley again. This time, the door wasn't sealed. It was wide open. Inside, Carl was back at the bar. Avery stood beside him. The pale girl from Night 1 waved to me from the booth. No one said a word, just nodded, as if waiting. The crowd was full now. Every table, every seat, and each person turned their face toward me and smiled. The club is mine now. That's the truth. I didn't survive it. I inherited it. Because that's how Club Vanna works. It doesn't let you escape. It replaces the old with the new. Carl was someone once. So is Avery. Now it's me. Tonight, someone else will walk through the black door, and I'll hand them the first rule. Because the club needs a bartender. And I've learned, the strangest rule of all is the one no one ever tells you. There is no last rule. If you ever get a handwritten invitation to Club Vanna, don't go. It means someone has chosen you. That's how it happens now. I send the invites. I greet the new hires. I hand out the rules. And every time someone breaks one, the club grows hungrier, more alive. But last night, I saw a new page in the rule keeper's book. One I didn't write. One I wasn't meant to see. It simply said, Rule number 0, when the bartender forgets who he is, close the tab. And now, I don't know if I was ever Tyler to begin with. I no longer remember how long I've been here. Time in Club Vanna doesn't work like it does outside. Days bleed into nights without warning. The club exists in some in-between space where the hours are measured by screams muffled behind velvet and the number of faces that shift mid-conversation. But it's mine now. That much I know. I greet the patrons. I mix the drinks. I guide the new employees. Poor souls who think this is just a quirky nightclub job in Chicago. They don't know the truth. Not yet. But they learn. Eventually, they all learn. Tonight started like most. I stood behind the bar as the music pulsed low and slow, like a heartbeat trying to remember how to beat. The chandeliers swayed, even though there was no wind. And one of the walls had changed again. Last week, it was old red brick. Tonight, it was bone. Interlaced human ribs forming an arching pattern behind the bar. The club liked to redecorate. Sometimes, it did it while you blinked. I served drinks without looking. I could feel what people wanted now, what their memories tasted like. A broken marriage, neat bourbon with salt, guilt over a dead parent, tequila with a worm that whispers. Someone ordered gin tonight, and the glass filled with black static instead. They drank it anyway, smiled with someone else's teeth. At 1:03 a.m., I noticed the door open. That's not supposed to happen unless I invite someone. But the bouncer wasn't at the door anymore. Hadn't been for weeks. The person who stepped in was different. Not a patron. Not staff. A girl. Maybe 19. Brown hoodie. Pale skin. Wide, terrified eyes. I didn't recognize her, but she recognized me. Her voice cut through the air like a bell underwater. Tyler. I blinked. The name felt strange on my ears, like she was calling out to a memory long buried. "You're my brother," she whispered. The music stopped. Everyone turned. Every patron, every mannequin, every creature wearing a borrowed face. They all stared at her, then at me. "You shouldn't be here," I said. My voice sounded distant, flat. "I've been looking for you," she said, stepping closer. "Ever since you disappeared. This place, it's not real. It's not right." She held something out. A photograph. Me and her, in a diner booth, laughing. That photo shouldn't exist. Not anymore. My hand shook. I started to speak, but then I felt it. A crack. Not in the walls. Not on the floor. In me. Like something was slipping. Fracturing. The rule keeper book slammed shut behind the bar. Its cover glowed, bright red like fresh blood. When I opened it, a new page had appeared. Rule number 0. When the bartender forgets who he is, close the tab. Another line etched itself below it. He is served enough. Suddenly, I remembered. I wasn't the first Tyler. There have been others. Hundreds. Maybe thousands. All called Tyler. All pulled in. All rewritten. The club didn't just want a bartender. It wanted an identity. A role filled. It wore you like a uniform until you forgot who you were. And I was on the edge of forgetting. Until she walked in. I jumped the bar. The patron screamed. Or maybe it was laughter. The air shifted. Twisted. The girl grabbed my hand. "We have to go. Now." "But the door." "It's open," she said. It opened for me. Behind us, the walls screamed. They bled. The chandeliers burst into flame. As we ran, the rule keeper book flung itself open again, pages fluttering faster than wind, rules burning away, dissolving, rewriting. A voice called after me. My voice. Older. Angrier. "You can't run. You are the rule now." I didn't look back. We reached the alley. The black door was open wide. Beyond it, the real world. Stars. Streetlights. A garbage truck clattering past. Normal sounds. The girl pushed me through, and I stumbled into reality. Fell hard onto wet pavement. She followed, panting. The door slammed shut, and for a second, I was me again. "Emily," I said, breathless. You found me." She was crying. "I couldn't let them keep you. I know you. You're my brother. Not some twisted bartender for that place." I hugged her. Hard. The first real thing I'd touched in what felt like years. We went home. I showered for 3 hours. Scrubbed until I bled. Every sound made me flinch. The mirror was normal again. No velvet curtain. No cracks. Just my reflection. Tired. Older, but mine. Emily stayed with me. Slept on the couch. And for a week, everything seemed fine. Until I found it. The matchbook. Club Vanta. We're always hiring. It was on my nightstand. But it wasn't the same one I burned. This one was new. Inside, a note in familiar handwriting. "Thanks for closing my tab. I'll return the favor one day." It was signed, Carl. The club still exists. Somewhere. I feel it. Like a splinter under my skin. I hear the music sometimes in my dreams. Bass low, voices muffled. And sometimes, just sometimes, I see myself tending bar again. Smiling that not quite right smile. But now I remember. That's the difference. The rules can only control you if you forget who you are. And now that I've escaped, I'm writing them down. Every single one. Because someone needs to warn the others. So here they are. The final rules of Club Vanta. Written by the only bartender who ever got out. 1. Don't look in the mirror after midnight. 2. If someone orders a drink in a dead language, pretend you didn't hear. 3. Never shake hands with a patron wearing gloves. 4. The pale girl only comes on Thursdays. Don't ask her name. 5. Carl was real. He wasn't supposed to be. 6. Always smile, even if your mouth bleeds. 7. If someone calls you brother, but you don't know them, run. 8. The booth isn't empty. Don't sit there. 9. If your reflection moves on its own, it's your shift now. 10. Burn something you love, or the club will burn you. 11. Never answer the curtain. 12. Don't talk to the man in the booth. 13. You must never write new rules. Not unless you're ready to replace the old keeper. 14. When the bartender forgets who he is, close the tab. I'm done bartending. But if you're reading this, if you get the invite, if the door appears, if the mirror cracks, just remember one thing. You don't work for the club. It works through you. And eventually, it always comes to collect. The end.